Okay, good morning to all of you. और महाराज साहब के चरणों में वंदामी. This is my 8th lecture in this series on scientific foundation on non-violence. My today's topic is related to our Vanaspatikai, described very well in Chinese. Vanaspatikai is in our science term plant ecology, and I will describe briefly introduce you this plant ecology, and then I will also tell the factors that what current situation is in the over the whole globe. Let me first describe actually what is actually we mean by this plant ecology. Plant ecology is a subdiscipline of the global world ecology. And this actually contains the studies, the distribution on abundance. When I use the word abundance, please underline that density kind of. That is number of, say here, number of trees per unit area, like that. So how much abundance is there? That is related to the what we call as a vanaspati. And vanaspati, when I say, or plants I say, means starts from microbes, very small kinds of plants to the macro big trees also. Okay, so we are going to do this study of distribution and abundance of plants. But in addition to that, what are the effects of environmental factors upon this abundance of plants? Means vice versa. What I wish to say that how these plants are really of great importance for the environment or the climate. And on the other hand, the climate or environment, how it affects these plants. That is an important part. And the interactions among the plants and between the plants and other organisms. This is of really very great importance that we are thinking that we are only influencing the whole world, but it is not like that. Dear friends, plants also affect to plants. Plants talk to each other, and that is all they have some kind of an interaction, and that is known as biological interaction. And it is of great importance in many senses. Perhaps I will touch in little detail about this. But example of all this plant ecology, what definition I have been describing is the distribution of temperate deciduous forests. When I say this temperate deciduous forest, you might have heard in Hindi there is a term पतझड़, जब पत्ते गिरना शुरू होते हैं. And temperate, tropical, boreal, these are the real three big terms in forest. And in a moment, I will describe them also. So this kind of temperate forests in North America, the effects of droughts and flooding, because many times this natural phenomena human cannot do, but the natural phenomena affect largely to the plant survival related to whenever the droughts are there or the flooding is there. And there is a competition among the desert plants for water or effects of the herbs. Herbs means, you know, that group of birds or group of these plants, etc. And they are raising animals upon the competition of the grassland. There are various kinds of grasslands also. If you compare the grasslands, suppose if you are sitting in USA, and if you compare with in India with the Rajasthan, then grassland will be quite different, much more of a significantly difference you will find. Because at one place, the latitude position, longitude position temperature and pressure and density there will make the difference in their composition, their growth, their evolution, etc. But the most important part is photosynthesis process, which actually is required for each and every type of a plant, whether it is a small or it is a big. Let me just say first a little bit differences in this tropical forest, then temperate forest and boreal forest. So all the forests all over the globe, all over the world, we can divide into three major parts: tropical, temperate, and boreal. What do I mean by that? Basically, there is difference is based on what I told, that how much photosynthesis process is actually very effective. So that effect, जिसको whatever we say that ahar paryapti, this will be better in this region or in the other region or in the third another region. So it means the latitude, temperature, and longitude distribution over the geographical world is very, very important. So, for example, the tropical rainforests, where the lot of rains are taking place, but they are dominated in South America, Central Africa, and Southeast Asia. That is our lower part of India also gets covered into that. So those forests actually, and when we say this kind of a forest or the plant ecology, that then there is a word actually given in biology. It is a biome. Biome means it is some kind of a plant forest which has biological interaction with each other and gives conservation or the protection to the birds and other habitats within that forest. So this kind of a is characterized by the diversity of species being near the equator and having a dry and I mean many season, that basically the rain season is very, very important and lots of rains are available because it is close to equator. So these tropical areas are generally, when we say close to equator, means they are mainly dominated in South America, Central Africa and Southeast Asia. On the other hand, these temperate forests, which are basically temperate, when we say, then it is a grammatically the same word, what we use the word homogeneous kind of things. So largely the conditions are not much changing, that they are between minus 30 degrees centigrade to plus 30 degrees centigrade temperature. It remains, but the rainfall in these regions is almost 30-inch to 60-inch. Means almost it can go to up to 150 centimeter or so. Very high rains are there. And these are generally found in North America. So in slightly you can say higher latitude, okay, Europe and East Asia. So these kinds of forests have different kind of leaf structure. So now, as I told, that this climate or environment conditions depending on the temperature, pressure and density and latitude, longitude, that itself, you see, makes the difference of the structure of the leaf, patta jo hai, leaf of the plant, whether it is a small plant or a big plant or big tree, but the difference is there. And in a moment, I will show you also the images of the trees or plants in these kinds of forests. There is another, the boreal forest is also, which is generally many times people use the word tanga, and this stretches across the cold regions. Means now we are going from equator to higher in the northern side and still now going higher side, say the Arctic side, like that. So means we are going in northern Russia or Somendorivia, I don't know, actually I have never seen, but Canada, etc. and their temperature goes all the way from minus 50 degree to minus 20 degree. Only in summer, for few tens of days only, one can see about 18-degree plus side. Otherwise, most of the time, the snow is there and glaciers are there. But there also large number of different kinds of trees are there. So here we can see in the left side of me, it's a big image, is a tropical actually forest in India, in Arunachal Pradesh in India. And you can see this, the deciduous temperate, where Pachhad, which I told the leaves are falling. And now you can also see the size and the structure of the leaf. All the leaves are of different types. When we say boreal, then the conical, sharp edge kind of a, leaves, and with the long, the very tall trees are can be seen over there in the boreal, in the that is cold regions, where the snow is always all the time falling. Now, what is the important, another thing, is the important part is, as I told, is the photosynthesis. And in this photosynthesis process, actually, the what we see that every plant, whether it is extremely small or it is very large, but it requires photosynthesis process. And through the photosynthesis process, actually the chemical reaction begins. This chemical reaction begins to create glucose and oxygen inside the plant. And this is the main food. It's a main ahar, the kriya, that is ahar process begins only with the photosynthesis, that is the paryapti. So ahar vargana begins with this, which is that is creation of glucose and oxygen. And this is the most important requirement or entities or nutrients for the plant life. Now, one of the most important other characteristic which we can derive from this process, that actually through this process, actually plant ecology or plants, they are responsible. They are responsible to make this earth oxygenated whole atmosphere. If so, just think what I wish to say, that if plants were not there and if the photosynthesis process were not there, then we were also not there. We would have not been, our life would have not been possible, because there would have not been oxygen. So oxygen basically is derived through this process, and this process started some 2 billions of years ago. You see, when the earlier first formation of the life started near the oceans, etc., and then that is 5 billion year, and then I told last time 3 billion years story. Now the 2 billion years, when this sun started to give this light, and the small trees, very small trees, they started to get the food, that is glucose, and they started to form the oxygen. It means, it means what? That this oxygen they took and they threw outside, which we human beings are taking, that is increasing oxygen in the atmosphere. And whatever the carbon dioxide through the volcanic eruptions was there 2 billions of years ago, that was absorbed by these trees. So trees are actually nothing but they are the god. They are the god. The poisonous thing is they are swallowing, they are drinking the carbon dioxide, and the good part, oxygen, they are giving to us. Now you may ask very easily one question to me: how did you know about this 2 billion years process, that it took like this? In fact, throughout the world, I mean, the God or the nature always lives behind some kind of a evidences for us to study. Now, these evidences, we got it from the banded iron formations. What are the banded iron formation? In a moment, I will show you the evidence for that. But what I wish to say again, that this carbon dioxide, which is there in the atmosphere, that is taken by these plants, and they are giving oxygen. So oxygen versus carbon dioxide this reaction, or you can say the process, is actually basically has been only governed by this. So what I should can conclude, the basically plants is an important entity, is an important entity for the biodiversity as well as for the this whole climate balance. Now, currently we are crying. We are saying climate is changing, climate is changing, but we don't know what we are doing. First, we should see, we should evaluate our own activities, and then we should blame to the our nature. Nature is not doing anything. Nature is doing as per the rules, regulations of the nature of the universe, and it is going through like that only. So what I would say that even the carbon dioxide now level is, previously oxygen was keep on increasing and taking over the carbon dioxide. But now with the motion dynamic uh, movement of the people from one place to other place, and our technology which we are using, like just like I told earlier in my one of the lectures, the aircrafts and the ships and the satellites and all these things, now we are increasing carbon dioxide in the our Earth's atmosphere. This is the what I was saying, the banded iron formations. See, this is in one of the North America sites where this. Now you can see the layer by layer deposition. So we can scrap, and with uncontaminated sediment we can bring and then take it to the laboratory and do the uh, iron process, oxygen process. That so we found that the iron oxide. So oxide is only possible when the oxygen was there, and this formation of iron oxide, we got the history. It is about the 2 billion years. So the bottom one is the oldest one, and then we can go up and up and up. So we can see as a function of time what kind of changes the earth has seen, the earth climate has seen, the ecology has seen, the plants ecology have seen the various kind of changes, etc. So this is very important kind of studies by taking this kind of sediments as well as from the oceans also. Okay, let me also briefly describe what our own religion, Jainism, says about this Vanaspatika. And this is a I found by studying all these things that few things have been better understood by the plant biologists, botanists, plant scientists, but many things which have been described even in our Jainism are still not have been understood or discovered by the botanists people. What in Jainism says, like in Shatkhandagam itself, that Vanaspatikaya Jeev, that is plants, okay? And first of all, it has been considered by touch, that is sparsh, the one indriya, one sense life. Now, that one sense life itself is of two types. That is first thing. First, you just consider that any plant on the earth or anywhere in the universe is a life, and it is a one sense life. And now it is divided further into two types. One is a pratyek sharir. When I say pratyek, so please note down in your notebook, pratyek means separate, separate. Prathak, prathak. Pratyek. Pratyek is actually not our this every one pratyek, but it has come from the Pali and other languages, old languages. And prathak means separate, separate. Okay. So pratyek sharir, and the other one is the sadharan sharir, that is ordinary sharir. The ordinary also is a sadharan word, means it has the multiple bodies, multiple, I mean, lives inside. So pratyek has only one life. Remember, prathak prathak means separate, separate means but every pratyek sharir has one life. Sadharan means multiple life. Pratyek sharir, actually Vanaspatikaya Jeev, also has the two types. So again, pratyek sharir will have two types, means paryapt and aparyapt. You know, I told last time, and the paryapt means the sufficy, that is a important kind of a characteristics of all life, whether it is a microbes or here it is a plants, etc. But the basic food characteristic of food process begins through the photosynthesis, but those who get from the photosynthesis or enough food, it is that, and the other which do not get, and they have another process. While the multiple uh, lives, that is sadharan sharir, that has also two different types. One is badar and the other is sukshma. Badar means the slightly bigger structure. Okay, badar means bigger structure. Sukshma means microbes, you can say, or very small kind of a plant. Badar again they can have because they need food, etc., or they may not need also, but paryapta and aparyapta. So this is important, and this kind of divisions, further and further divisions, if you see in the scientific aspects, then you will not find such details. However, what they have done is a quantified and quantitative, any kind of research or discovery is very useful for further research and investigations, etc. So you can find all these details in many our canonical texts. I have taken it from Shatkhandagam, Gomat Sarji, and many other also you can find and you can see in various literatures. Very important from other, our Puran Kosh, that says very simple definition, and you may all be interested. They again say that same thing, that the plant ecology can be divided into two types. One is the pratyek and sadharan, that is multiple life system and single life system. And pratyek, their body, their physical structure has either the one that is separate or multiple. That is what I wish to say again for that. Now in this, एक ही शरीर के अंदर अनंत जीव बनते हैं और बसते हैं और खत्म भी हो जाते हैं. Means in one body, that is one kind of a tree you can take example, in which infinite numbers of life systems can exist. They form, they can exist, and they can get destroyed also. So this is the what by nature it happens. So there are such kind of things also, what we call, when it is a multiple system, then it is we call as a nigod, and when it is a single body, that is pratyek sharir, also it can be a nigod. Now nigod can be divided into two parts. One is the nitya nigod, ittar nigod. So what do I mean by nitya? You can see that and you must have heard also from our monks that since, I mean, ages, since the history, some senses, some bodies always remain in the nigod paryaya, and that is always known as nitya nigod. But on the contrary, those plants, those physical bodies, those lives, those souls, which undergo to many kind of paryaya, many forms, but finally they again return because of their karmas back to the nigod only. They are known as ittar nigod. So this is I mean, some kind of a based again on our karma or karma theory. So karma theory always applies irrespective to whatever the life is there. So whenever we say the life, that this is the life structure, life system, karma theory will be applied to that. Then you can also see that this, whatever the types of ways that asankhya lives are there, means it, so many kinds of physical bodies in one system of life is there. So those kinds of things are there. Then we say that whether it is apratishthit or sapratishthit. So apratishthit and sapratishthit, pratyek sharir thing, that is separate, mostly by and large apratishthit. while sadharan are there, by and large, you can say they are the sapratishthit. This is the main thing. But now when apratishthit or sapratishthit, it means different kind of a formation process will be there. Say, for example, the our orange, mangoes, they are apratishthit and they are pratyakshari. But on the other hand, अप्रतिष्ठित में प्रत्येक वनस्पति that is separate also are there, just like there are many kinds of fruits and leaves are there, etc. So they are also, I mean, sapratisthit. And when it is sapratisthit, then it is not advisable in our Jainism that as a edible. We cannot eat that thing. Okay. So there are many such kind of uh, plants which give the good fruits or the some kind of a vegetables, just like potato, carrots, our many other things which are inside, but because of the apratishthit, but they are vanaspati, but they are actually sapratishthit. They have been categorized like that, and we cannot eat. It means what happens that from the same kind of a, we say, separate pratyek sharir, but if it has or it behaves like a sapratisthit or a sadharan sharir, that is with the multiple organisms, multiple cells, or multiple seeds inside, we cannot eat, we are not advisable. I give you one simple example. You know the anjeer, figs, and figs has so many seeds inside. So seed that figs is not edible and it is not allowed to in our Jainism to be eaten. So these are the various kinds of categories, and this kind of work still has not been done in the biological sciences book in the botany with this. At the last, what I will say about the Jainism in this, there are various kinds of methods have been described in Chinese for the growth or for the evolution. And we say that the मूल अर्थात the main root, okay, उसी से ही अगर बना है, if it is evolved from that only, then it is said as a मूल बीज. And for example, ginger, turmeric, etc., they are for the मूल बीज. Agrabhag means the small branch which is cut, what we say as a tahni or kalam, for example, for the rose and all these, or even ayak, udvani, the flowers and leaves which are regarded, that is through that. Third process is the parva beach, that is for sugarcane or beet. So those long, which is stick kind of formation, they are the par. Parv means itself is a some kind of a long. I mean, process also is very long. It takes almost 1 year to get. I mean, for complete growth and for its full form of reaping. On the other hand, those which are grown by the kand, that is small inside root, just like aloo and suran, onion, and garlic, etc. And this kind of, which I told in my last slide, they are not allowed, they are not edible, but they also, that is another process. Skand means slightly larger, the root is there, and if you use that uh, with the skand beej, jaise ke for our orange and palash, and even this Mosambi also, those kind of. So that is a skant, and those seeds which utpanna, that is they form with beej only, that is rice, our all crops, wheat, all cereals, etc. So they are known as seed form growth, and that is only allowed to us edible. Even some people say the groundnut. which is inside the land, but it is a single beach. So groundnut or the peanut, they are allowed to us. Okay. Similarly, the last formation, many plants, they don't need anything. They simply by interaction, say with the soil and our H2O, that is water, and they just start with that and they get evolved. They are this kind, and many evolutions of this kind with the simply soil, water, and photosynthesis. So all the nutrients come basically from the soil and the water, and the process of that nutrients to form, that is glucose and this oxygen, starts with that simply. So this is known as samurchan, okay, and that's mostly all other kinds of the plants, and by and large in the forests, mostly are in the dense forests. Samurchan process is much more strongly applicable. So with this, I have described a very brief introduction uh, because it is not available in detail in English. So I had to use the Hindi terms also. But you can read the chapter which is written in the handbook. That is also, of course, in Hindi, but you can download and read more in detail. Uh, Now, in forest, before I go to violence part, I would like to still say a few more things about importance of scientific processes which are taking place. So, for example, biological interactions of various natures in the forest that are taking place, and they are very, very important for the forests in the sense that what exactly plants need or a life need. Is it when I say glucose and oxygen is good enough? But that is not good enough. But that is formed through the photosynthesis. But inside the soil, many other things are there. For example, carbon is in the soil, hydrogen is also in the atmosphere, oxygen, nitrogen, and the phosphorus and sulfur. So this three things, six things, that is CHNOPS, CHNOPS, that is the life form. So unless these six basic nutrient elements are there, a plant cannot grow to the tall size. There is still another need of, but small in the percentage, magnesium, sodium, etc. So similarly, what we human people also need a little bit sodium for our memory and the brain functioning, etc. We need the magnesium, phosphorus for our bones development and all that. So similarly, the plants also need these kinds of nutrients, and they get from the soil, water, atmosphere, and through the photosynthesis process. So now, if what I wish to say out of that. Now, you can see, if I put these plants close to each other, it means they will deprive the food. Ahar paryapti will not be sufficient for them. Rather, if I put larger number of seeds to grow them and very close to each other within a 1 feet or 2 feet, it means I'm actually killing instead of allowing them to grow. So what will happen? The density part will die. Means I have given a n number of density and I was expecting that 100 times, but it will not be there. Rather, it will be 10% of that only. Why it is so? Because I did a one wrong process and I did very close to each other. So it means through the soil, through the atmosphere, through the water and photosynthesis, whatever the process of evolution, growth is there. For that, I need to, when I sow them, then it should be symmetric. Say, I will put every plant at a distance of 10 meters or 10 feet or 20 feet, as per scientifically it is required. So symmetric and non-symmetric things actually has very much importance. So if in a given of 1 acre or 1 hectare land, if I put more than its capacity, then I will not get the proper yield. So this is competition. So competition for what? Competition for ahar paryapta. Then competition also, if they are not properly, I mean, could get the food, then there will be a problem of hearing. If you remember, dear friends, in one of my lecture in the beginning, I showed one small video. It was actually shown at Florida University. I sent from here, and the plants, they hear also. So Shraman Shakti, they have this audio listening capability. That is one of the vargana, that is of the paryapti. So if they have not received enough ahar, then they cannot develop proper of their this growth of audio hearing. So it means if proper against the competition, if the growth is proper and they have received enough food and they are evolving, then if you will give them a music, or if you will give them a good words, or even while taking their fruits, if you pray them, request them to take, they will always appreciate, and it has been endorsed scientifically also. So thus they understand the sound system in addition to their this. So sense wise, it is only what we say, as I told in the beginning, only the touch, sparsh only, that is the one sense all the plants. But through this paryapti, they have many other capabilities to understand and to listen. Okay. And similarly, there are many other kind of a biological interaction. I can tell briefly 1 or 2 lines. If you know very well that some plants need help of other plants, and other plants means it is a host plant. And so this plant is actually takes many nutrients, etc., from that host, and then it grows. So that also is a kind of one thing. Then other thing, the host dies and this guest actually evolves. This thing is also the process is already known in the science. Then there are many birds are there which take the seed from one plant and they give to other plant, and there is some kind of a mutation is there, that and then also they develop. So there are many kind of biological interactions are there. On the other hand, there is interaction with the natural resources sometimes, and by the human uh, interactions also is there. So all that we will see, but the natural interaction sometimes kill the plants also. For example, in the desert or the floods and droughts, etc. So anyway, I have told you many things about this. Now, what has happened? That basically the forests play a very positive role. I told you in the very beginning, because of them only this climate is so much effective is there. But on the other hand, what we are doing, that we are destroying this whole thing, or we are degrading the this our forests, our the plant ecology. In fact, in 1990, it was estimated that 420 million hectares, please underline this number, 420 million hectares of forests have been already lost. Through what? Through the conversion of the land. It's what kind of use we are going to do, say mostly for the agriculture or for the mining, etc. And in addition, more than 100 million hectares of forests are actually already and adversely affected by the forest fires. Now, this fire, I will definitely tell you a little bit more in few of my next slides. But fire is intentionally it is done or it is natural, that we have to decide always. Then for the pests also, diseases, and invasive species. Last time I told when we were doing about the oceans, etc. Then the droughts and floods, such many events are taking place. And in addition to that, even human activity. So all those kinds of things are there, which we are doing. Now, why basically, if you say, and if you ask that this biodiversity, it is all continues to be agricultural expansion. I mean, why we are actually deforestation is taking place, whether what is the main drivers, I should say, what are the main drivers. So one is basically the large scale commercial agriculture. Please remember what I told the word, large scale commercial agriculture, and I will explain this in my today's talk, to what extent our grid is actually developing. And then cattle, this well, for the cattle, this we are throwing that whole use, we are cutting in the name of the cattles, but that is not true. And the cultivation of the many other for oil, just like a palm oil and soya oil, etc. So this, who is responsible? We general people or the poor people are responsible for this kind? No, dear friends. There are lots of big powers. We call them big economic powers, or mafias will be maybe the better word for them. And they are taking advantage of poverty in the world and poor countries, and they are forcing them to convert their lands for the agriculture of their desire and of to the extent they want, and similarly for other purposes. So this is the all what the greed is important. And then I would like to say that what we say forest has only given the this carbon dioxide swallowing itself and oxygen only. No, on this earth, whatever the land is there, that is 72% oceans and 28% land. So 28% land and 30% of that land, 30 to 31% of that land are the forests. They were there. Okay. And these forests were also homes. They are also homes even on today. Okay. For the birds and for many other habitats and the lives which they live inside the forests. And not only this, but also the many people also. So what I would say, for example, the Amazon itself in the Peru and South America, etc., the which is the one of the biggest rainforest, that alone has an estimated 15,000 species of the trees, just in one, and estimated 3,000 species of the fish of different type in their river systems or river ecology, I can say, and almost 1,300 which are described species are there, birds, but about but 17% of it has been destroyed now. And this I have uh, already visited Amazon when I was visiting Peru, and I can give myself as a witness vote for that, that really Amazon is under the destruction. Now, this is the only not the thing. Many people are also living inside the forests. The other is the commercial, the big industrialists which are involved in selling the timber. Okay, so just logging is done for the timber only, and they will cut the trees. Now, if the trees are cut, then what will happen? What science says, and what the at the same time the Jainism also says. If the trees, say in a one given area, kshetra, dravya is our number of trees. That is Now, number of trees per unit area which are there, and if 50% are cut, means what is happening scientifically, we can say that the carbon dioxide which was existing in that much region in Kshetra, now where it will go? Who will absorb? The trees are already down by 50%. And now if the trees are down, so carbon dioxide will remain over there, which is our greenhouse gas. And on the other hand, now oxygen will also be less because trees are already lost. So the, biophysical chemical process of the carbon dioxide and oxygen ratio will be dominant over there, and that will, the area, that region, that kshetra will become a dangerous for the health. And this is what the eco balance has been talked in our Jainism also. So we should always be careful while doing any harm to any plant. Every plant, whether it is a sukshmaji, small, or it is a big, it always plays a very key role, important role for us, for our children, for our generation. For your knowledge, I would like to say that approximately 80% of the world's land-based species live in forests. What do I say? Land-based species means everything species have come with, the flying, this that reptiles, snakes, etc., and many other snake, all that lives. 80% of them, the world's land-based species, live in forest. Now, if you cut the forests, if you destroy the forests, where they will go, this is an important question. And these questions, United Nations is trying, they are attempting, they are putting a lot of efforts to address this question very seriously. But in front of those lobbies of industrialists, they are also many times they have surrendered. I have also seen, I have attended many meetings over there, particularly the meetings of Kyoto, etc., and Montreal Agreement meeting. So basically, this is the important question that has to be addressed. Not only that carbon dioxide or oxygen, the balance ratio, but where these land species or the birds, they will go. And there is a her completely June and June pura bada group. It lives over there. So what will happen to that? So the destruction and fragments of this forest is the biggest driver of the whole our extinction. I would like to add that at least a recent study has shown that more than 19,000 species of birds, amphibians, and mammals. You know, the birds which are flying from the surface of earth to the sky, amphibians which live in the water and on the earth also, they have common of their origin, and mammals also live on the earth, and mostly all these, they live in the forest zone. So recently, in last 20 years, there is an organization known as International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, and they have been keep on asking the scientists to study as per the requirements, and then they prepared some kind of a red list. Red list, if it has name of the species has come under that red list, means it is in the either extinct or it is endangered over there. So lots of work has to be done for to avoid this extinction, but many extinction already has taken place, and the United Nations is under the threat for that. So now I would like to just add to you that habitat loss. So those birds or those species which have the house, home, habitat inside the forests, they themselves are in trouble because of this kind of a deforestation. 85% of species are described in that red list. So this is very alarming time, and something has to be done. Otherwise, for our next generation, or at least I can say in this 21st century itself, by the end of this century, we will lose a significant fraction of the forest. वन्य जीव और हमारा वनस्पति का लगभग खत्म होने आ जाएगा. And then the large, I mean, heat radiation will be there. So all these things, why it is happening, that is one has to think what are the major cause for that, for this 95% of their historic, I mean, tigers or whatever species are there, they are extinct. So what are the causes for that?
Hello. Hello. Rajmal ji, are you listening to me? Your video and the voice sound both are stuck. Hello? Hello? Rashmalji? Might be the video and the sound both are stuck. Okay, so he's I have to check why his video and all other things are stuck, disconnected. Okay. No voice, yeah. I think might be some disconnections, and because of that, Professor is not able to join right now. I am asking him.
They have joined now with my mobile. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so should we wait for 10-15 minutes?
Yes, 10-15 minutes you have to wait because
Okay.
maybe as early as possible, but I will then call you. Okay.
Okay.
If it is early, I think 5 minutes. I think.
Okay. Okay.
Because it is coming up.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Inform to everyone.
Okay. 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 ठीक है. Okay, so Professor Rajmal Jain is getting connected again, and might be he will take 5 minutes almost. So he will join again. Okay, so somebody is asking that Nigod is Vanaspati Kai. So it is true. Nigod is, of course, Vanaspati Kai. Only the Vanaspati, Sadharan Vanaspati, which is considered as Nigod. There are other subtle living beings who belong to all other classes, water, fire, air, and earth, but they are not considered as Nigod. It is only the Sadharan Vanaspati which is considered as Nigod. And all the subtle living beings which are plant-bodied living beings, they are, of course, Nigod. And the other nigod which we see or we use in our day-to-day life as all the root vegetables. So they are known as gross nigod jivas, and those which are subtle, they are out of reach and they are not of our use, but they are there and they also come under this nigod class. Anybody has any question, they can ask. Meanwhile, Professor Rajmal Jain is joining.
पंजाब में नमो स्वामी।
Yes.
मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है कि प्लांट्स में मेमोरी ज्यादा होती है, क्योंकि मेरा कंफ्यूजन है कि भगवान महावीर ने आचरांग सूत्र में कहा है कि एक इंद्रिय जीवों के ज्ञानावरणी कर्म वो उनको ढके रहते हैं। और जो जब आवामंडल थोड़ा सा पढ़ा तो उसमें आचार्य महाप्रज्ञ जी ने फरमाया है कि प्लांट्स की मेमोरी आदमी की मेमोरी से भी ज्यादा होती है। उन्होंने एक वर्ड यूज किया, अध्यवसाय। तो मेरा क्वेश्चन है, अध्यवसाय और मेमोरी एक ही है क्या?
नहीं, अध्यवसाय तो सब जीवों में होता है। अध्यवसाय का मतलब है हमारे चेतना के जो स्पंदन हैं, हमारी आत्मा के जो सूक्ष्म स्पंदन है, उनको अध्यवसाय कहते हैं। तो उसका वो तो मेमोरी के, जब हम कोई चीज मेमोराइज करते तब भी उस तरह का स्पंदन होता ही है, पर हर तरह का जो स्पंदन है वो अध्यवसाय के अंतर्गत आएगा। चेतना के जो परिणाम हैं उनको, या आत्मा के जो परिणाम है उनको स्पंदन, उनको अध्यवसाय कहते हैं। So it is not necessary that it is memory, but yes, it can be, memory can be the part of अध्यवसाय। और उनमें मेमोरी ज्यादा होती है ये तो थोड़ा कहना मुश्किल है, क्योंकि वैसे सब में चेतना है तो इसलिए थोड़ी बहुत मेमोरी अगर है तो है, अदरवाइज वैसे कहा जाता है कि ब्रेन पावर होता है हमारा, उसी में मेमोराइज करने की थोड़ी ताकत ज्यादा होती है। और इसलिए मनुष्य में या संज्ञी पंचेंद्रिय में ही स्मृति हो सकती है। जब कभी पूर्व जन्म की स्मृति होती है तो उसके लिए तो हमारी मेमोरी हेल्प करती है। और पूर्व जन्म की स्मृति हमेशा पंचेंद्रिय जो लाइफ रहा है आपका, 5 सेंस लाइफ, जब आप पास्ट में रहे हैं तो उसी की आपको मेमोरी होती है, क्योंकि उसी समय आपके दिमाग, आपके पास में ब्रेन की वो कैपेसिटी होती है। अगर somebody is living was in the past life in some other forms of life, in comparison to the 5 sense living beings who are having brain, then they don't they are not capable to memorize about that past life.
कृतज्ञोत में महाराज,
Yes.
कृतज्ञोत। दूसरा सवाल मेरा है
Yes.
कि 84 लाख योनियों में कोई भी जीव ऑलमोस्ट 50% या 90%, मुझे याद नहीं है, वनस्पति काल में रहता है। ये सही बात है या गलत?
सभी
इसका रेफरेंस मोक्ष मार्ग प्रकाशक में उसमें कहा गया कि वनस्पति काय में ज्यादा जीव रहता है।
तो वनस्पति काय में ही अनंत जीवों की संभावना है। बाकी सभी योनियों में there are 84,000 what we say 100,000 yonis. So only in vanaspati there is a you can somebody can spend a long time, otherwise in all other yonis they can remain only for innumerable time period and not infinite time period. It is only the vanaspati where you can live for infinite time period. So of course, and there is only possibility to live in the number of infinite. All other yonis are having innumerable number of the jivas, but the vanaspati is having infinite number of jivas. So there is possibility. Yes. Any other has any question?
Very good, very good. They have been superbly nice kids.
Okay, so I think today we have to stop here because might be professor will take more time. There is some current fluctuation in India where he is there. So that's why he is not able to get connected. But if somebody has any question, they can ask.
समणी जी,
Yes.
मैं कहता हूँ कि वो जीव ज्ञान लेके जाता है, कोई भी योनि में जाएगा तो ज्ञान का संस्कार लेके जाता है.
Yes. Yeah, it is true. So knowledge can transfer in next life. So that is true. But going to the next life, if it is a undeveloped life, or you can say 1 to 4 sensed life, then they cannot recall what they have learned in this life. But yes, if they get opportunity as a human being, or they get such kind of environment where they can recall, they can recall.
जैसा कर्म लेके जाता है ऐसा ज्ञान, और ज्ञान एकदम हल्का रहता है, इसके लिए वो भारे नहीं रहता है, इसके लिए जा सकता है.
There is no question of halka and bhari, because it is the part of our consciousness is the fundamental property of a soul, and there is no weight or no what we say, any kind of load of this property of soul. So it is the part of soul, no? So wherever soul goes, knowledge will also go. Okay, so I think we will be able to listen to Professor Rajmal Jain in next time, whatever he wanted to discuss today, and we are going to stop here.
Okay. सुख साता में रहिए.
Yes.
Jai Jinendra, thank you, Samniji. Namaskar.
Thank you for coming and joining.
वंदामि
नमोस्वामी.
वंदामि जय जिनेंद्र.
वंदामि सबको जय जिनेंद्र.
Yes.
सबको जय जिनेंद्र जी.
सबको जय जिनेंद्र.
Jai Jinendra. Okay. So thank you for joining.